Welcome everybody. All right, look at all that nonsense back there. I hope this is going to be fun. This was fun for me to put together. I don't really know everything I'm doing, and I wanted to share what I've done so far. So, Dragon Quest Builders is awesome. I love this game. It has some limitations on. It doesn't have the same circuit components that Minecraft does. So it's not clear how to build digital logic if you want to have a lot more control over things. And what do I mean by control? Well, essentially you have things like lights and these magnetic blocks, and a switch basically just goes off and on. It just goes whatever it was before, it just does the opposite of what it was. So if the door is closed and you hit it, it's going to open and the door's automatically shut. And the light just goes from on to off. So how do we start to harness those switches in more creative ways? So that's where digital logic comes in. And we're going to start right here with these simple gates, these simple sluice gate wheels. This one right here is essentially an OR gate. So in digital logic you have OR, and that means I can hit one or two of these things or both, and it'll turn on. So I'm going to use words like input and output here. Input is just like a calculator. Your inputs are 2 plus 2, and the output is 4. So input is what you do, output is what you get. So in this OR gate, my input could be either that gate, press that, or this one. They both allow water into the bottom here to turn the wheel. And the wheel works by pressing that button. And it'll just keep pressing that button every 10 seconds. And so that actually, we don't care about it, because that's all we can do is that one thing with that one button, because it's just going to keep pushing with that blue pusher. So how do we pull it back? Well, we want to use a different button. And so I could just hit that button, which of course works. But if I want to harness other tools for this, then I can also build this AND gate. Now this doesn't help us push that button to activate that red magnetic block. It's just a demonstration of what an AND gate does. And this is going to help us do some of this more complicated stuff behind there. But an AND means I need both of the gates to be open. If I just open one, water cannot flow to the wheel. Alright, and if I shut it, it's obviously still off. So only one means no water, and both of them on means it turns on. Oh, it didn't hit that one because of timing. Sorry guys. Alright, so both of them now are open, and the water wheel turns, and after a few seconds it will press that red one and pull back. Now, if you haven't seen a video by Ben XC called The Ultimate Magnetic Blocks Guide, that is absolutely essential to understand what's happening here. You have to understand how these magnetic blocks work, how the red arrow activator switch and the square activator switches all work, their limitations, their ranges. You need to know that in order to even have a chance of understanding what I'm doing back here. So if you haven't seen that, go watch that so you understand a little better how I'm controlling all this. And if you have seen that, let's go see all this. So this is where we start getting into a lot of fun. And so what I've done is I've stacked multiple gates, just like that AND and OR gate that you see right there. I've stacked these sluice gates in a way back here for me to make what's really here a D flip-flop. So in digital logic, a D flip-flop takes the last input, and really it's binary, right? So it's 0 or 1, and it just outputs whatever you pressed. So if I put in 0, and I'm calling red 0, that's easy enough, off, on, right? 0, 1, green is go, it's on, it's 1. Simple enough. So right now the red light's on, which means this is 0 or off. If I press this again, did you notice that gate turned on? So that's what's trying to trigger this to go to the off, to turn the red light off, to turn the red light on, excuse me. But notice I've got that other gate there, so that means it's gonna stay red. That's good. That's what I want. That's what's making this interesting, is stacking these together. Okay, so now what I can do is I can turn it from red to green. and we'll watch it for a second, and that is going to switch it to green. And you notice there's a couple gates there changed, and we'll go over some of that. Let's press green again and see what happens. Oh, see, it just moves that one back gate. So this button, all it does is control that back gate. When I say back, I just mean the farthest away from me that you can see behind this this green wheel. So that turns that opens that gate, but what's happening is you've got another gate that prevents it from changing, and that is what again is so cool. So I'll try to walk you through this real quick, and I will show you blueprints for these because it's not easy to build this just from looking at this video. I understand that, and I'm hoping maybe people can maybe find more compact ways to build these, better ways to build them, other more interesting things. So I'm really hoping people use this. So let's follow the green button. The green button is going to turn on the green light first. That's the first thing we're interested in. So when I press green, it's going to hit that button and go down. It's going to follow that red line or the green line back here, and like we saw before, it's going to open that gate below us. And if this second gate, this blue one, if that's open, I call that the enable. So if my green button, if I hit the green button and this green water wheel, I call it green, it's on the green side. If the green water wheel is enabled and I press the green button, it's going to open that gate, and then water is going to flow. So then it's going to press these two arrow buttons. The first one just goes right back here, and it's going to shut off that gate. It's going to turn it right back off so that it stops, so that it only does it one time. Because the water wheel will continuously press buttons, and we don't want that. So the first thing it does, it shuts itself off. But at the same time, it presses this second arrow, and so that's going to follow this green line back to this square activator. And notice the orange is just a range. The orange shows you the range of that square activator, so that's just sort of a little visual cue for me to help understand what I'm controlling and what other things I need to press. So what needs to happen? Let's follow first still the green light. So we hit the square activator switch, and then that second green arrow here along the lower level follows straight up to the green light. So that turns on the green light. So what else do I need to do? I need to turn off the red light, right? Because it went from red to green. So that doesn't happen automatically. So that square activator also presses the black arrow, which falls up here to this other black arrow. So the black turns it off. It's just black is turn off the light. All right. So what else does it need to do? Well, I need to go back and disable itself. Remember the enable gate. So I have the back gate, which is like the trigger or the input gate. So my green input gate is 1, but the blue gate is the enable gate. So if the enable is off, then no matter how many times I press the green arrow, water won't flow to it. And so what I want is to now disable that after I've pressed it once. So when I press it, that yellow arrow goes up here and then follows this. It follows the blue line. Blue is used because it's in reference to the red side. From the red side, it's also pressing that same one to enable that. So it has to follow that. There's some limitations here with the colors, guys. Bear with me. All right. So from here, we're going to also go blue to enable our red water wheel. So the blue goes all the way around here, and that's going to hit this blue water wheel enabler gate. And notice, green light's on. So right now the state is on or 1. Well, our blue gate back here is open, so that's enabled. That means that my red switch is enabled. That means I can press it and it'll turn to red. And the green one's disabled. That's what I want. That's what all this is doing. So if I were to press the red one, it'll start turning that red wheel. So this is going to do some of the same things the green one did, right? So it's going to press the 2 arrows right next to it. It's going to go back and shut off. It's going to shut off the green input gate in the back. It's going to go forward and hit that square activator switch. That one's going to hit this higher yellow one, which disables itself. It's also going to press these black arrows, which turns off the green light. And then it's also got to turn on the red light, right? That's the primary thing we're doing. So So it's going to go up over here and press the red light to go on. Now I've got a couple other arrows here that I didn't mention. So there's this one on the ground, surrounded right beneath me. So that one and this one right here, that's actually kind of my output for this whole machine. So this machine has an output, and those two arrows are what is controlling it. It's this one here, and that button there gets activated when I press green, and this one's being activated when I press red. And those control these gates. So this is my output gate. This is my final output switch gate part of the machine, which I'll get to in a second because I have a second part. So this is a second D flip-flop. These are side by side. It's the exact same thing, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing again. But together, what they make is what's called a set reset or an S-R latch. And what that allows me to do is when one of them is on, then I can turn on my final output. My final output is that yellow light over here. So this is the light I really care about. The green and the red back here, they're just keeping track of what my first inputs were. Okay? That yellow light back there is what I really care about. So in this case, both of these are off, which means that it doesn't matter how many times I press this input. Nothing's going to happen. Right? And so it's just going to stay off. So what the left one does, the left one's called a set, or the S switch, and the right one's called the reset, or the R. And if I have R reset on, then it's always going to turn that light off whenever I press this button. If I have this S, the set, if that's on, then it's always going to turn that light on, essentially preventing me from going back and forth. Okay, and now it doesn't have to be a light, it can be any gate, but that's the idea. So right now, my light's off. So let's see if it works. Let's see if I turn the reset to on, then that green light should come on, and then I will actually get a, look, so one of those gates opened. But let's see which gate it was. It's just these back two. Okay, so now when I press this, water's flowing, but look, it's only flowing to that one, and so it's not going to turn that light on. So these buttons all just go back to turn off these gates. That's all it does. See, it just turns those off. And so that's what I want to happen, because that's, oops, careful, that's what the glass is there for, so I don't accidentally step on those arrows. So my reset's on, which is supposed to turn that light off. So let's go back, let's go turn that off, and let's try to set it to on. Let's try to turn the light on. So right now it's switching. It takes a while. The water wheels are slow, one of the limitations of this game. So my set is on, that's kind of my first input now is 1, and so now I'm going to try to turn that light on. And let's see if it works. Ooh, yes, the water wheel's turning, and so it should turn on that light. And then if you notice, lots of other switches there turn off these gates. And the order matters. Which ones actually turn on and off, that's actually really important in order to maintain the rest of this machinery to operate the way you expect it to. So if I press this again, nothing happens, right? Because that front gate is off. So I cannot, so it's on, right? So the set is on. Well, that means to turn the light on. Well, the light's already on, so it's not going to change. That's what I want. I want it to not change, right? Because the basic mechanics of these switches, all they can do is just switch. And so all this machinery helps to give us more specific control, and you can actually remember the previous input. And so this is really the the lead into state machines and digital logic. And I'm hoping this is helpful. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do the blueprints. Sorry, it's raining. I don't have the tool that stops the rain. I want that. Is that the one? No, that's the wrong one. I'm sorry, I'm disorganized. Here we go. All right. Yes, this is the first one. So this is the blueprint for that big machinery, the D flip-flop. And I'm going to walk you through this. Hopefully this will be a little bit like a Lego manual. This is the only way that you all can copy this easily to start maybe improving it or just to play with it yourself. So now remember, these earth, arid, and the colored blocks, none of those are important. They just give me the visual clues so that I could track the circuits around it. So you don't have to have these colored blocks. They can be any block you want. It does not matter. The glass floor, that's also just a convenience thing so that I could walk across the top of it and not accidentally step on those arrows. Okay, so that's a stylistic choice. And yeah, so let's go from the bottom up. So right here you see first layer. First layer, we do have a lot of stuff on the first layer. So notice all the placement of the arrows, all the gates, and the water wheels. All right, this is the first layer. All right, and then second layer. Notice there's a lot of new switches. Okay, notice all of them. You'll definitely have to pause this video and save however you need to. But notice all of the different ones. Don't miss any of them. They are important. We'll go one more layer up. Should be the last activation arrows. Yes. You see the ones in the middle that pop up? Those are those tall yellow ones when I showed you them on the actual construction. All right. And then the rest of this is really stylistic. It's not super important, but there you have it. So that is the blueprint for 1D flip-flop, basically. Now remember, all this is doing, this blueprint is just going to turn on and off that, or just going to switch from green to red, that the green light to red light. In order to do something, you have to make those activation switches that are pressed when you turn the green light on, and the other activation switch when you turn the red light on. You have to make those do something else. And in this case, what I did was I had them press these buttons to open these gates. So that's how you actually stack it and do something else with it. So that's the other kind of important thing to learn if that was not obvious to you. So here's the final output, those two wheels at the end here that control that last light. So let's look at that blueprint. It's much simpler. All right, so it's just the wheels, some blocks to control those activator switches. This one only uses 3 gates for the way that I've set it up, but lots of buttons, And finally, that's it. There's another gate at the top that wasn't captured in the blueprint. Don't forget that last gate at the top, because that's kind of the input. That's kind of the trigger for this last piece here. So that's the output. Kind of the output final thing. Okay, folks, this is really fun for me to build. It might be awkward here, but I hope you all enjoy it. I hope you all use this stuff, and I really want to know if people build more interesting things. I'm still playing with stuff with these things. I'm trying to build more interesting machinery and lights, and I want to see what you guys can do. I hope this is new, and I hope this is helpful, and I hope this is interesting and fun. All right, everybody. We'll see you later.